Well, hello my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Luka's Kits. And today we're going to check out this Pinto Wagon by MPC. This is a kit that I've had quite a while. It's the second one I've gotten. I had one a while back and ended up trading it or selling it. And then, oh boy, I really like the idea of having a little Pinto Wagon. I liked these cars when I was a kid in the 70s. And I remember a neighbor had one. I just thought they were really cool. And I like how you can do the stock version or you can do these custom panel versions that Ford put out back in the day. But it was just a neat looking car. You could build a race car out of it. A lot of potential here. But it's just always nice to have something different in a wagon. And I am a bit of a wagon fan. So let's take a look at this kit. But we're going to start with the box art. And of course, there's the box art. Pretty neat box art, like typical 70s stuff. And here we see on the side of the kit, we've got a lot of the attractions that come with it, and it just shows all the custom engine work you can do. You got 2 engines. You got to choose from V8 or the 4-cylinder, it looks like. We'll have to take a look at that. Hopefully it's still in the kit. I never know, because I bought this used and I haven't really inspected it that close before I went ahead and showed you guys. But you got some great 4-lug mag wheels, which actually are pretty sought after lots of times. They're hard to find. Those are great for doing little cars. I actually used a set of these wheels a while back on a Toyota Celica race car I was doing. And you got all your basic looks like pictures of a real car, showing you the graphics and stuff that come in this kit. And of course, in MPC fashion, they show both ways of making the model and a list of everything it comes with. And you've got your panel van version and your stock version, and it's pretty cool how they show everything right there. And of course, starting off with the instructions, they're typical 70s type MPC instructions. MPC always did really great instructions and very good illustrating, so you can really tell what you have in the kit. It looks like the parts in the kit. And there's that 4-banger that it comes with, and upon my little quick inspection of the kit, it looks like that the 4-banger was taken out of this kit, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it to you. That's something to look for if you ever see this kit at the swap meet and you want to pick it up and you're really interested in doing it with the 4-banger. Check and make sure it's there, because that's obviously something that gets taken pretty quick. But that's what it looked like. And moving on into the instructions, you also have your assembly of the V8, which was, you know, very basic looking for back in the day. They didn't put a lot of detail into them back then, but you got the basic look of a Ford V8. It shows all the putting together of the suspension, which was something very, very cool in this kit compared to a lot of MPC kits of the day. Your rear end and your exhaust was separate, not molded to the floor pan, which can really help you out when you're doing a race car. Even the gas tank. We'll take a look at that here real shortly. The rest of the detail of the instructions, very good in illustrations, and shows you everything all the way to getting the roof rack on and placing the decals in the correct spot. And now for the body. Excellent body. This is a really nice, well tooled body. It looks accurate. Dimensions look really good. You got yourself a nice Pinto Wagon, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this is of the probably the mid-70s, I'd say, when they went with the big stem bumper, but it's got a little bit earlier nose on there. I know that there was a kit later on done of the wagon that had the more up-to-date later 70s, even early 80s, more squared off front nose. But this is nice. It's got the early version here, but just an all-around really nice body. There's even a cutout here, it looks like, right there for a custom ceiling light, or roof light, whatever you would call it, window in the roof. And then we'll show you a little bit the panels that go into here to have your side panels with your bulb like custom window. But as a stock version, looks really good. And now on to the chassis. Pretty decent detail. It's simple, but this was a simple car too, so this makes for a really nice underside, especially the fact that you don't have all the drivetrain and the suspension and even the fuel cell molded onto this. So you got some options to do a race version. And the rear end and leaf springs right here. As you can see, it's two halves that basically makes a typical integral rear end by Ford back in the day. It's simplified, not 100% accurate, but it gives you a decent look when you put it underneath the car. Comes with the flat hood for the body, and of course, typical MPC fashion of the day, always had an option to put a hood scoop on or cut out the hood to have a blower sticking out. They always had that stuff with these kits, so there's a nice indentation there if you want to scribe that out and cut out your hood. What you have for the front suspension and the cross member, it's pretty, well, I don't want to say accurate, it's simplified, let's go with that more, but it actually is fairly accurate of the suspension of the day with your radius rod here and your lower control arms. Again, a bit simplified, but it shows you what they were like. And of course, it's got this, there's two of them in it, a little spindle with the spring, all kind of molded together. A little bit simple. And there we go with the side panels that you see there with the bulb custom window on the side. And here's the other side, and it just fits into the body. See how it goes right in there? I think what you have to do, it looks like you have to cut this out because that seems to keep it popping up a little bit, but the rest of it fits right into there pretty nicely. Yeah, they did a pretty good job with that, so you can do that. Now for the side interior, you've got your door panels and your side panels for the whole inside of the wagon. It goes up into the engine bay to where you've got your inner fender wells, and they actually look pretty decent. I like how they're void of a lot of detail. You know how a lot of the kits, they like to mold all the stuff that goes bolted to the inner fender wells. These are kind of like blank inner fender wells, so again, making something of a race car, you got yourself a pretty open engine bay to do whatever you want. The glue-in fuel tank, so you don't have to have it molded on. Gives you the option to not have the fuel tank and maybe put a fuel cell in there like you do in a race car. Dashboard is really accurate. I remember years ago having Pintos and friends of mine having Pintos in front. I remember this looks pretty straightforward and pretty good. You got some good gauge engraving there, and if you can see me, I'm one who always liked getting in there and painting and took a lot of pride in my detail painting of doing gauges. It was something I enjoyed, and it always makes it a little easier when the letters and the needle are raised up pretty high. You can just dab it with paint and not get it all over the face. So that's really good. And you got your radio, and it looks like there's even wood grain engraving on there. So if you paint that a little brown and yellow and touch that to make it look like the wood grain, it'll look like a pretty nice dashboard when you're done. And there's a series of filler panels. You know, I believe that goes in between the front bumper or the rear bumper and the body. So those are all separate. That's kind of cool, so you can paint those body color. There's seats, and there's the panel if you want the back seat down to put into the interior, which basically, again, back to the chassis, when we're talking about the interior, I love this, is that the chassis pan, there's no interior tub. I love it when there's not an interior tub and you've got all your floor and your carpet all molded onto the chassis plate. Just makes for a little bit more realistic car. That's pretty cool they do that. Got some pretty decent high back seats that go in there. Let's take a look. I think somehow this fits. I don't know where this fits, but it fits in there somewhere. Nice bare, light engraving of your firewall. Again, that's always cool. Gives you options to make it real smoothed out, or you don't have stuff you got to grind out and fill if you're wanting to do more of a racy or hot rod version. Pretty nice steering wheel, pretty typical of a Ford steering wheel of the 70s. Really good detail there on the horn button. You could really, with some nice paint detail, really bring this thing to life. A whole part of what I like about having a nice clean engine bay and having the option of having the battery in there. The battery is separate. Pretty nice little 70s style battery there too. The 4-banger is missing from this kit. Kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have used that, but we've got ourselves a typical V8 Ford Windsor block here. Not, you know, over the top really anything, but when you get all the accessories and the heads on, of course, that all the stuff that makes it look like a Ford engine, when it's on, you could still have a pretty decent looking engine there. And along with the heads, you can see the shape of the Windsor head and the valve cover that would go on there. Basic head, not a lot of detail in it, but again, you get it painted right once you get that valve cover on. It'll read right, it'll show you it's a Ford. Simple little air cleaner there. Actually, it's got some really good detail if you're building this thing stock. Got some racing seats. I always like these racing seats that MPC have. I got a bunch of them in my stash. They were in a lot of kits, and I liked how they had the seat belts in there already molded in. I know sometimes you're building a model, you don't want to do the aftermarket seat belts with photo etch buckles and all that stuff every single time. And you know, you can get in there with some good painting. You can actually make those look pretty decent. And now we're on to the chrome tree. Again, there's your Ford valve covers. It even says Ford on it. They look like the stock stamped steel valve covers. There's still some of the parts from the four-banger that got ripped out of here, but everything else is here. Got some trick exhaust right there. You know, basically your chrome headlights that MPC was known for back in the day. They didn't really make them clear. There's a couple of different headlights. The grill right there. It looks like the wheels were I think I'm the one who rated those wheels and put them on that Celica, so I don't have those wheels to show you right now. And overall, you got all your little doodads and parts and starter, and it looks like that this chrome has been kind of dulled out. I don't know if that's from the age or they shot like a dull coat over it so it's not so bright, which I actually think it will make the model look a lot better. I don't like it when the chrome's really bright, as I showed in a past video of making your chrome less toy-like. Having it really bright makes it look like a toy. This kind of brings a little more realism to it. And there's the glass. There's that skylight that I was talking about earlier, that there's a place where you can cut it out. The two side custom windows that go into the panels. And then, of course, your regular glass. And on to the decals. You got your cool 70s decals. That was really typical in the mid to late 70s, where they really got bold with the graphics, but they'd be basic. You know, yellow, orange, and red was always a popular thing, and kind of have that bold stripe down the side. That was always fun and popular, and then it got real obnoxious later on, but there we have it. If you want to do it pure 70s, flip it around. I always like to show these things upside down on you guys, but as you can see, compared to the box where all the decals go to get that look. So there we are for a 1977 Pinto Wagon with the option of doing the panel van. And I just really want to thank you again. I keep on saying this, but thank you guys for your support. Please like this video, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. We're still trying to rack up the points there. And as I always say, keep on gluing those fingers together and keep on cutting that styrene, and we will see you in the next video.